A couple is looking to buy a house and a strange real estate seller shows them a peculiar and mysterious development where they get trapped without understanding what is happening. That's why today, Vivarium. If you enjoyed the video, support the channel by liking, subscribing, and enabling notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Now let's get started. The story begins in a strange way where a baby bird is being born while another one throws it from a nest. This seems unrelated to the story, which is quite strange. Gemma, a kindergarten teacher, meets one of her students as she leaves her class. A girl is looking at a dead bird on the lawn, wondering who could be so cruel. Her teacher simply responds that things are just like that. Soon after, Tom, the school's gardener, and her boyfriend buries the dead bird. He then visits a real estate agency to look for a house to buy. And upon arrival, they meet the agent Martin, who is somewhat strange. And he starts talking with his persuasive sales techniques, offering them a house that he says is close but also far away. Despite Tom's suspicions, Gemma is excited about the salesman's pitch and eager to go. Then they arrive at a development called Yonder, which from the start we notice is somewhat strange, since all the houses are exactly the same and with a somewhat weird atmosphere. Nevertheless, the couple follows the salesman to view house number 9. The man continues his speech saying that the houses there are really ideal, while he continues to act strange. And he offers them a bottle of champagne and some strawberries as a gift, but they end up rejecting it. While touring the house, they notice a fully furnished and ready-to-use baby room. Martin asks Gemma if she has children. When she says no, he gives a strange response and invitation. After this awkward moment, he offers to show them the yard and leaves them alone for a moment. But moments later, Gemma inquires about the neighbors and they discover that Martin has just abandoned them as his car is missing when they step outside. They are both relieved because the man made them uncomfortable, so they decide to leave quickly. But all the streets are identical, and regardless of how much they wander, they always return to house number 9. Then Tom gets upset and decides that he will drive from now on. They then realize their cell phones have no coverage. Still, they keep going around, and to relieve stress, Tom decides to smoke a little before continuing to drive. Even though they keep arriving over and over again at house number 9, time passes until nightfall and they run out of fuel. They realize they're alone in the neighborhood and choose to stay the night in the house. But before they go to sleep, they open the gift they had rejected, and when they taste the strawberry, they realize it has no flavor. The following day, Tom climbs onto the roof to search for an escape route. He sees hundreds of identical houses surrounding them in this vast neighborhood. Then, he comes up with the idea to follow the sun. So the whole day goes by without finding the right path, and as time goes by, they become physically exhausted. And at one point, Gemma sees a light coming out of a window and hopes are renewed. But upon entering, they realize it's the same house where they spent the night. And when they go out the front door, they find a box full of somewhat strange provisions. There, Gemma panics. Tom suggests starting a fire in the house to send a smoke signal. But the house burns down completely and nothing else happens. The next day, the couple wakes up in the street, covered in ash and with another box of supplies in front of them. In this scenario, instead of food, there's a baby with a note saying that raising the child will grant freedom.
It's a boy.
Like them, we don't understand, but the real surprise follows. Because when the smoke and ashes clear, we can notice that house number 9 is intact. Shortly after, we see that they wrote the word help on the roof. And apparently many years have passed because we see that the baby is now about 7 years old. The boy acts strangely as he imitates Tom and Gemma arguing and excitedly asks the girl to measure his height. So there we realize that only 98 days have passed since they received the boy. They discuss his faster than normal growth and Gemma reminds him that she isn't his mother. Then, the boy starts to scream in an overwhelming way until his non-parents serve him breakfast with impressive coordination. After a while, we see everyone in the garden sitting while they wait for someone to come for the box of provisions. But they remark that this has been futile, just like the roof message, as they have never witnessed anything. Then, Tom starts smoking, and when he throws the cigarette on the grass, he sees how it spreads, so he tries to dig the strange sand to make a hole. And while they are extracted, Gemma realizes that the box disappeared without either of them noticing. That night, the couple makes love, while the strange child watches them closely from the door. Strange. And the next day, we see that Tom's attitude has changed because he rejects Gemma's help to open the hole. The child turns on the television and sees strange, unfamiliar images and movements instead of cartoons. At dusk, the couple gets in the car to breathe a real smell because apparently in this world, things have no smell or taste. The real-world car keeps its own characteristics. While there, they find the car's music still works, so they go out on the street to dance. And shortly after, the strange boy watches them closely before joining them. But at one point, Tom stumbles, causing him to hit his head, and he reacts by throwing the boy to the ground. Gemma takes the strange boy to bed, reminding him that she is not his mother. The boy screams continuously until he pauses to imitate Tom, making the girl upset and telling him that he is a disgusting wretch. When dawn breaks again, the strange boy wakes them up with a scream as usual, repeating what Gemma said the previous night.
I'm a disgusting wretch, did you know? I'm a disgusting wretch.
At breakfast, Tom appears tired and decides to leave to continue digging. He hears a noise in the deepest part. The next day, the boys' screams accompany their breakfast. However, Tom, wary of the routine, confiscates Jerry's food, threatening to lock him in the car to starve him. At that moment, Gemma disagrees, but he reacts aggressively, saying not to act like his mother and that by letting him die, they will likely come for him. And when the girl asks what will happen if they don't come for the boy, Tom tells her that they will let him die anyway. Despite her boyfriend's objections, Gemma takes the boy out of the car, believing he's a person, not a strange thing. That night, Tom keeps recording and shouting for help. Meanwhile, Gemma explains dreaming to the boy and lies down to sleep beside him. At dawn, Tom wakes up in the pit after spending the night there. Later, he eats alone while Gemma is in the garden with the boy. The clouds on that peculiar world only have the shape of a cloud, which is strange. And that day, they go back to sleeping separately. She in the room and he in the pit. The following day, Tom keeps digging and Gemma is surprised to wake up without hearing the strange child scream that morning. She realizes he has vanished and starts searching for him, but Tom doesn't think it's a big deal. After going around the neighborhood, she returns to find the strange child in front of Tom's hole, with a book in his hand, which he begins to read and realizes that it is written in a strange language. The figures were strange, resembling those the child saw on television. So he tries to get the information about where he went, but he only tells him that he saw someone he had never seen before and that he is not allowed to give more information about it. Gemma announces they will play a game where they must imitate her and Tom. She cleverly asks him to imitate the person he met that day, initiating one of the movie's most terrifying scenes. It's not just strange screams, but the boy's neck begins to grow in a terrifying way. He asks Gemma if she is overwhelmed by what she sees and calls her a silly mom. The next day, we see that on the roof of house number 9 now says an insult, and the strange boy is now a full-grown man. We can also notice that Gemma treats him with respect, but not because he's an adult, but because she's really afraid of him. Then we see Tom locked in his room and Gemma brings him food. There we can notice that his health is very deteriorated. And while they eat, she blames herself for not letting him kill the boy when he was just a child. After this, Gemma is bathing Tom, and there we see that he has some marks on his back that confirm he is very sick. After some time, the strange man asks Gemma if she wants to play and goes outside. She follows him but loses sight of him after a block, failing to catch up. Tom persistently continues digging despite great difficulty. As night falls, Gemma is still lost and Tom discovers a buried corpse. Right there we hear her scream Tom's name and he tries to follow her voice without being able to see her as he doesn't have enough strength. Soon after, she finds him on the floor outside his house. She tries to help but can't enter because the door is locked. This strange man continues watching television despite her cries for help. The next morning, the couple wakes up in the car. With Tom still very ill, Gemma begs the strange man for help. But he suggests to her that it may be time to move on, just like they should. She doesn't understand what he meant, and she stays on the floor hugging her boyfriend. While he tries to smoke what is probably his last cigarette, they take this moment to talk about how much they miss the real world and the time they met. But within seconds, Tom dies in his girlfriend's arms without having found a way out of that strange place, which none of us have yet figured out. An unknown amount of time passes before the strange man returns with a body bag. And while Gemma cries inconsolably, he puts Tom's body there to throw it into the hole that he himself had finished. Another night passes. At dawn, Gemma wakes up in the car and sees the strange man leaving the house. She follows him discreetly, and this time she attacks him with Tom's pickaxe. At that moment, the man opens a strange passage in the street to escape, but Gemma also manages to enter it. And now the atmosphere is completely reddish, where she finds a boy watching television and a woman crying as she fades away on the floor. It seems she has arrived in another parallel world because now everything looks green. She discovers a couple having sex while a strange teenager observes and claps. Then she appears in a purple world and discovers a man who ended his life in the bathtub. But then she falls down the stairs of house number 9 where she has lived all this time. Then she goes out into the street and everything is as it was before she was in that passage. And the strange man tells her that all this time she has been a mother who is in charge of preparing them to go out into the world. She repeats to him that she is not his mother, and the man locks her in a body bag even though she is still alive, and then throws her next to the body of Tom Poco. Then the strange man covers the hole and it disappears in the garden as if it had never been there. He then fills the car with fuel to drive out of the odd subdivision. After a while, the strange man arrives at the real estate office where Martin is about to die and hands him the sign with his name. The man then places him in a second body bag, labeling it with a paper tag. And strangely, he folds it to store it in a drawer as if he were filing a document. Then, the new Martin sits at the desk and shortly after receives a visit from a couple who are likely his next victims. This was Vivarium. Comment with the movie you'd like summarized, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates.